You are holy and blameless before the Lord because of who you are in the Spirit. That is good news, folks. But unless you believe it, it's not going to do you any good. You have to believe this stuff. You have to say, yes, I hear it, I understand it, and I'm just going to go ahead and believe it. Like, what have you got to lose? Hello and good morning. I want to welcome you to Arrested and Free. My name is Julianne Harris, and I have been arrested. I've been arrested by God's goodness, His grace, His love, and His mercy. And therefore, I've been set free from fear, pain, anxiety, discontentment, and all the negative things that can happen to us in life. I've been set free from. And so today is December the 18th in the year of our Lord 2022, and I'm so delighted that you're tuning in. I've been getting a whole lot of new subscribers, and for that I am so thankful. So I pray that you are continuing to be blessed as you watch these videos. And if you want to be caught up with the series that I'm on, I would encourage you to go back to the beginning. And I have a whole lot of series on my YouTube channel, so check it out. And yeah, I'm just super blessed that you're subscribing and you're wanting to watch. So today I want to talk again about frustrated, but I really, after watching last week's episode, I really feel a strong desire still to talk about the holiday season that we're going into and the potential for strife and the potential for contention within your family and how to deal with that practically. You guys, you can't wait until you're in the middle of a battle to prepare for that battle. You can't wait till you're in the middle of the battle to get the skills and expertise that is needed in order to win in the battle. Now, I'm not talking about going to battle with your family. I'm talking about preparing your heart. And, you know, there's so much that I want to share with you today because I listen and I've been learning in myself. We should always be continual learners. And I've been learning here in myself that there's still things in me where I care about what other people think. And that's a dangerous place to be. You know, if your contentment and your joy and your tranquility and your peace and your value is based in what someone else thinks of you, that you're doomed. It's going to be a rough ride. I'll just tell you that much because of what's in the heart of man. You know, you can think you can know somebody until they do something and then you're like, who are you? I've experienced this often, and a lot of us experience it on a regular basis. And what ends up happening is we feel hurt, we feel broken, we feel whatever. It could be frustrated, right? Once again, coming back to frustrated. And so all these negative emotions can come from what someone else is doing. And we have to prepare ourselves before we go into this holiday season with our family. We have to prepare ourselves on how we're going to respond. You know, there's a teaching called self-centeredness, the root of all grief. And it is absolutely profound. And I wasn't planning on going there. So let's find that scripture real quick. It's in Proverbs. I think it's chapter 13. Sorry, I would have been there had I planned on going there. Proverbs chapter 13, I believe it's verse, is it 10? Yes. See, I've listened to this series a few times, so it's stuck with me. So let's just read this together, shall we? In Proverbs chapter 13, verse 10, it says, "Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom." Only by pride comes contention. And there's a couple different facets to this that I want to touch on today to help us from being so dramatically frustrated. See, my sound cord is frustrating me. Excuse me. So only by pride comes contention. It doesn't say that sometimes Sometimes it's pride that causes contention. What does contention mean? Contention means tension. It means tension when you have contrary views. That's how I would define it. What is contention? Contention leads to strife. And where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. And some of y'all, that's what your family life looks like during the holidays. And you are ushering in every evil work. You're throwing the door wide open to the devil to come and steal, kill, and destroy in your life. And you're doing it. That's what we talk about when we're like, when we say, the devil can't do anything to you without your consent and cooperation. When you enter into contention and you enter into strife, you're throwing the door wide open. You are consenting and cooperating with the devil himself. And he's able to come in and steal, kill, and destroy. What could he steal? He could steal your joy, steal your unity, steal your peace, steal your health. And it's not worth it. So what I want us to do in this episode, because, Christmas is next week, and a lot of us are going to be traveling this week to go see our family, I want us to prepare on the front end, on this side of it, that we will not have contention. We're going to lay down our pride. At the end of the day, does it really matter who's right? It really doesn't. And some of us are like, well, of course it matters who's right. No, it doesn't. Some of these things that we let create a wedge in between us and our loved ones has no difference in eternity. Even eternity itself, even being born again, is not a reason for contention within your family. And, I get it. There's like a pecking order. It's really interesting to me, being the youngest and being the only girl. There's a pecking order. When me and my two brothers are together, they're older than me, there's a pecking order. They they are the boss. As much as I don't like to admit it, but they are. And that's just how it's been since growing up. And so when it comes down to deciding factors, or, I give them their room because they are my older brothers and there's a pecking order, and I get it. But what can happen is you can get really butthurt. Oh, yeah, did I say that? Sorry. You can allow your feelings to get hurt because they've always treated me this way and they never value what I say, and they're always going to treat me as the little sibling. Yeah, they are, because you are the little sibling. You may be an adult. I may be a grown woman now, making choices of my own, but ultimately there is a pecking order. And, if I keep my mouth shut and if I don't let my pride be hurt, then they will heed me. They will hear me. And if they don't, oh well, nothing's going to cause me to get into contention because I'm laying my pride down. It doesn't really matter how much I've achieved or how much I've proven that I'm an adult and they should listen to what I have to say. None of that really even matters. At the end of the day, what matters is family and having peace in your home. And with peace, when you keep the peace, there's a blessing that comes with it. So, unless you can talk about sensitive subjects without somebody flipping their lid, then let's just leave those subjects off the table. And that's totally okay, because at the end of the day, what matters is peace. What matters is having no strife in your family. What matters is loving on one another. Man, we are celebrating Christmas, which was the most amazing gift of love that ever has been or ever will be. And I think next week I'm going to talk on the Christmas story, and just something we can take away from it and something for you to chew on Christmas Day. Excuse me. So only by pride comes contention. It's not, I love this saying, it's not what somebody does to you, it's how you choose to respond to it. And do I do this perfect? Absolutely not. Listen, I had a run-in. Excuse me. I had a run-in. I wouldn't say it was a run-in. I had an encounter with a student that was very much not on board with what we're doing with this mission trip. And it's just a small, minute section of the trip, but the way she came, the way this person came at me, man, it just like it really it plucked my pride, I guess, because only by pride comes contention, right? And I know she had some pride involved in it as well, but the way she came at it, it was like, ooh, it was a lot for me, and I didn't handle it well. I didn't. I didn't respond out of who I am in the spirit, which is love, joy, grace, mercy. How I should have responded in that moment, because it was a real defiant spirit almost, is what it felt like when it came at me. And it's like how I should have responded was to pray for her, was to ask her if everything's okay. Is she all right? Can I pray for you? Like, what's causing you to have such a dramatic response to something that's so minute? And see, what happens is when we have these personalities, when we have this flesh come at us, it really, if we're allowing our pride to respond, because only by pride comes contention. See, she could have said that to me, and if I would have been mentally prepared for that, I wouldn't have responded the way I responded. I wasn't prepared. It was just kind of like, bam, in my face. But see, I should be prepared because I know better. And so that's where I'm saying you can walk into this holiday season, to this Christmas season, with your family, with those people that can sometimes get on your nerves or really insult your pride or your ego. Lay it down. Lay it down now. Prepare your heart and prepare your mind to say, you know what? No matter what they say, no matter what they do, I'm not responding. I'm not responding that way. I'm going to respond out of grace and love and mercy, because that's what dwells on the inside of me. Love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, meekness, kindness. See, this is how we tap into the grace. But when we get angry and we respond out of our anger, we're frustrating the grace of God for us to operate in grace. See, this is all tied together. Don't worry. This is still on frustrated. And the key to frustrating is when you're frustrated is to stop, drop it at the foot of the cross, and then rest. So, if you can go through these scenarios in your mind, our imagination is huge in this realm of setting us up for success, is to play it out in our mind. Like maybe you had some incidences years ago. Play that out and how it would have played out had you responded not out of your pride, not out of your hurt ego, but out of who you are in the spirit. Play it out. So they say something that really just grates your flesh, your pride, your ego, whatever it is. So you're going to stop. You're going to go, no, not going to respond how I really want to respond right now. I really want to let him have it. And let's get into this fight. No, stop. Drop it at the cross. Enter into rest. And then respond out of who you are in your spirit. In your born again spirit, you have the spirit that raised Jesus from the dead. You have Jesus dwelling on the inside of you. You have God himself dwelling on the inside of you in your born again spirit. Respond out of that. Tap into the grace that is there. See, every moment of frustration is an opportunity for divine intervention. I'm not playing around with this stuff. And I have seen some things in me here lately that I'm like, Lord, what's going on with me? Like, I feel like I'm spending time with him, but I don't think I'm spending enough time, because there's stuff coming out of me that I'm like, this is crazy. This is craziness. And so what I'm doing is I'm guarding my heart. I'm guarding, putting myself in situations where it's working on my pride and my ego. And so that's one side of it. Only by pride comes contention, okay? But there's another side of it that I want to encourage you with, okay? And this is the fact that some of us, we put our value in other people's perspective of us. And I see this a lot in marriage. I see this a lot in intimate relationships, whether it be family relationships, whether it be husband and wife relationships, whether it be friend relationships. It just depends. But, you know, in your interpersonal relationships, there is a tendency to be codependent on somebody else. So if they find, you know, if everything's going good, and listen, I used to do this all the time. So no guilt or condemnation, because this was me for decades. And I still see remnants of it in myself to this day that I'm dealing with. So this is fresh, hot off the press, that God's dealing with me about, is finding your value in somebody else's perspective of you. So in other words, if everybody's liking you, boy, you're on cloud nine. If somebody likes you, then you're like, oh yeah, there's a little pep in your step. You're feeling pretty. You're feeling good about yourself. But if that isn't working, if someone says they don't like you, now it's like you're into this self-loathing, I'm trying to think of a big word and it's not coming. My point is are you allowing your value to be based on somebody else's opinion of you? If you are, then you need to spend more time with God, and you need to guard your heart, especially going into this Christmas season, right? Excuse me. So here's where I want to take you, because Jesus this is what happened with Jesus, right? So Jesus, we're going to go to John chapter 2, and it's where Jesus, he performs his first, I'm always looking at my necklace, and it's perfect when I start, and then somehow it gets unperfect, and it drives me crazy, but that's okay. I know you guys have grace. So Jesus, he has his first miracle, right? Turning the water into wine. And people are like, what? This is crazy. And then he goes to the temple, and he clears out the temple, and he's like, he's hardcore. He's hardcore at the temple. And then he makes a statement that, you know, the Pharisees will use against him later, when he says that, you know, he's going to tear down the temple and it will be built up again in 3 days. But he was talking about his body when he dies. But here is what I want to focus on today, okay? And let me look at my time. Okay, so I still got a portion of time. In John chapter 2, verse 23, it says, "Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover, in the feast day, many believed in his name, when they saw the miracles which he did." So they saw these miracles and they were like, oh yeah, we believe. Oh yeah, Jesus is amazing. But here's what happens. In verse 24, it says, "But Jesus did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men, and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man." Listen, I don't care who you're dealing with. Now, I know there's a balance. There's always a balance. And I'm always kind of like hindered on some of the things that I say, because I'm kind of like, okay, where's the balance in this, Lord? I don't want to be too much on one side and you know, the viewers not get the balance. But here's my point is, Jesus knew what was in man, and it says he did not commit himself to them. We need to determine what we are entrusting to other people. He did not, that word commit says he did not commit himself to them because he knew what was in man. That word commit means entrust. Like, he didn't put his value in the fact that they were all accepting him at that moment, because he knew what was in man. And he knew that when the Pharisees, he knew how it was going to play out, to where they were all going to be crying out, "Crucify him." There are people in your life right now, and maybe you've experienced this, and if you haven't, hallelujah, good for you. But live a little bit longer, be around a few more people, and you're going to experience people in your life that there's going to be stuff that comes out of them that they could turn on you in a second. And if you have entrusted yourself, if you have given your value over to that other person, ooh, it's going to be a doozy, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to rattle you, and it's going to shake you. And a lot of us right now, We are in relationships where we're doing that on a continual basis. We're entrusting our worth and our self-value into somebody else's opinion. And then when they change their mind, because that's what's in man, when they flip the script, now you're all on shaky ground. Now you're all hurt. You're all crushed. Why? The only person that you can truly entrust yourself, your heart, your value, your worth to is God himself. Is Jesus, who came to die on the cross for you. If you would have been the only person, he would have came and died for you. And that's where our value and our worth and our feeling good about ourselves comes from, is from where we stand in Jesus, where we are seated in heavenly places far above all principalities and powers. We're looking down on our issues and our problems. We are walking above the storm. We're walking on the water with Jesus. That is our worth and our value. It's not, we can never entrust that part of us to any man. I don't care if it's a spouse, and I think that's where a lot of spousal relationship issues come in, is because, and listen, this was me. I didn't know who I was, but I was only right if some guy liked me. And, that's a bad place to be in, I'm telling you, because it's all great when people are liking you, but then what happens when they don't? Now I'm worthless because somebody doesn't like me? No. I pray you understand what I'm trying to communicate to you as we enter into this holiday season, and we're having high potential of frustration in our interpersonal relationships with family, with friends, with everyone that we're going to be rubbing elbows with during Christmas. Your value and your worth and your peace and your contentment and your joy cannot be placed in anybody else's hands. It cannot be entrusted to anyone else than God. And if we entrust it to God, then we will maintain our steadiness. Then it will be so easy that when we start to feel that frustration rise up in our flesh, we can just say, stop, I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to rest. Because I know that my worth and my value is in who God sees me as. And when God looks at me, he sees perfection. When God looks at me, he sees Jesus. When God looks at me, he sees beautiful. When God looks at me, he sees worthy. When God looks at me, he sees valuable. You got to prepare your heart before we enter in to this holiday season, to these potential moments of frustration and contention, and we got to say, you know what? At the end of the day, my value is only entrusted in God. My value is not entrusted to my spouse. My value is not entrusted to my siblings. My value is not entrusted to my children. My value and worth is only entrusted, is only committed to God. And if you prepare your heart on this end of this holiday season, of whatever could happen, because the dark is getting darker in this world, if you haven't noticed. And likewise, when the dark gets darker, the light gets brighter. So if you're entering into family situations where there's like darkness, meaning unbelievers, meaning people that believe contrary to a biblical worldview, when you're entering into those situations, there's a higher potential these days, and it's only going to get more so, I'm sorry, but there's a higher potential for that clash, for that tension because of contrary views, that contention. There's a higher possibility of that. And so that's okay. You're like, how is that okay? No, it's okay in the fact that you can prepare your heart on this side. And you can say, okay, God, I am laying down my pride, I'm laying down my ego, and I am entrusting, I'm committing my worth, my value, my joy, I'm entrusting that to you. Not in what my family thinks, not in what my spouse thinks, not in what my children think, not any other thing. No other place am I going to commit or entrust my worth and value, but into your hands, Lord. And so when anything comes at me, what am I going to do? I'm going to stop, drop, and rest. I'm going to stop in that moment, and I'm going to say, oh, wait, no, I'm dropping that at the foot of the cross, because you don't determine how valuable I am. God determines how valuable I am. God determines how beautiful I am, and he thinks I'm gorgeous. Hallelujah. God determines how good of a cook I am. I don't know. That was a little random. But if your value is based in your cooking skills, whew, good luck. There's always going to be one person that doesn't going to like what you cooked, and then now your day is shot. You're done for. You might as well just go back to bed and start all over again today, because God, they didn't like my food. Come on. Come on. This is the kind of crazy stuff that you can encounter. Oh my goodness. And then if you throw drugs and alcohol into it, my second ex, I went to one of his family functions. Now, remember, his mother was one of 21 children, and there was a whole lot of darkness. There was some light, but there was a whole lot of darkness. And I've never been to a family function like that one. I mean, we're talking, we got gin and vodka and who knows what else. I mean, it made my family functions look like a funeral, because it was absolute chaos and contention and fighting. And then the next thing you know, the two that were fighting are now crying and hugging each other. And it was like, this is insane. And then I wondered why I had so much drama with him. Well, that was normalcy to him, so it wasn't to me. It was like, this is nuts. What am I doing here? And so I don't know what your family situation looks like, but I want to encourage you in the midst of it today. Let me look at my time. Okay, so I still have a little bit of time, but I just want to encourage you today, you guys. Prepare your heart on this side. What does that mean, prepare your heart? It means that you are determining on this side of it, of I'm not going to respond this way. I'm not going to commit myself to anyone but God. I'm not going to entrust my worth, my value, my beauty, my worthiness. I don't know. Those words are just what keep coming to my heart. Your worth and your value, place it in God's hands. And then when you have these opportunities to be frustrated, lay down your pride. Lay down that moment, just stop in that moment and say, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to drop it at the foot of the cross, and I'm going to enter into rest, because I know that this has nothing to do with here in eternity. I know that this little friction, this little contention, this little tension that's going on right now, if I don't drop it right now, then it's going to blow up into something bigger. And you know what I'm talking about, right? It's like when somebody brings up something. I mean, listen, it could just be something as simple as that, as somebody just bringing it up. And it's like, oh, here they go again, bringing up this subject. Of all subjects they could bring up, they bring up this one, sure enough. And then off to the races we go, so to speak. And so let's stop it, because God wants unity in your family. And if we don't have our family, if we don't hold on tightly to these relationships, then they're going to be frayed, and they are going to drift off into who knows where. And that's not what you want, right? So ultimately, I know you want what's best for your family, and I'm telling you, what's best for your family is for you to prepare your heart on this side. All right? And so I pray that this has ministered to you, and that it's given you some practical things to do this week as you're traveling to where you're going, as you're making plans, and especially as you're in a setting with your family. Just be prepared, and don't let anything come in between. All right? So I would encourage you, if this blessed you, to go ahead and share it with others. I would also encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you hit subscribe and the little bell, you will get a notification each and every time I post a new video. Otherwise, you can plan on a new video each and every Sunday morning here on my YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook at Arrested and Free. Follow me, like me there, or send me a text message. Give me a call at 970-919-0459. So you guys have a great week and Merry Christmas to you. And I'm going to probably record my Christmas message here in about 15 minutes. And I think it'll be a message that will bless you. So make sure to tune in next Sunday and we'll see you then. Bye.